You're about to watch an episode of Juicebox TV. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the bell if you enjoy. Cheers, we appreciate it a lot. Good afternoon, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Lovely stuff. I'm all right. Thank you, man. The people who may not know, please introduce yourself. That would be lovely.
I'm Billy Sullivan. I'm the lead singer of the band The Spitfires.
Obviously, you released your record last June, I want to say. We'll get onto that later on. But right now, I want to chat on this quickly because you booked a show at the Horn with us in St Albans, with us at Juicebox. Yeah. Hopefully by this July, you'll play it. Yeah. And like, it's been a continuous theme this whole series since we started. I always say to the artist, "Oh, what do you miss about live music?" But it's so like dull and boring because we know you'll miss it at this point. But now it feels like it's close to actually coming back. So on the other side of that knife, I want to ask you, how are you feeling regarding the prospect of actually it being a thing now, not just a faraway dream, but actually will be gigs at some point? It's real.
Yeah, I'm quite positive about it now. I wasn't for a long time. For a long time, I just couldn't see it happening. But it seems to be more realistic now, and I just can't wait to do it. I've missed it so much, and it's been weird. I think it's been the longest period. You know, it definitely has been the longest period since we started the band that we haven't played. And it's been quite full on for the last sort of 6 years with no break. So it was the first time we could sort of sit there and reflect on it a bit. But yeah, I can't wait to do it again, really. I just want to get in a van and not spend so much time at home, really.
Yeah. I mean, you guys always toured rigorously, even without releases. Am I right in saying that? Like, you definitely were all devoted to like just being on the road and playing the shows. Because that's where really, especially the band of your sound, all the instruments, all the elements, it's something else live from what I've seen on footage. Like, it's just a whole different culmination.
We're quite traditional in that sense. I mean, playing live's always been really important, and being a good live band's always been really important. So to take that aspect away is quite a massive thing for us. I mean, I know other people could sort of crack on that are, and release recordings and all that stuff. And we did release an album or whatever, but it's hard to back that up when you rely so heavily on just touring and playing to people.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the model now, really, where you make your money, merch, and it's the tour. If you don't have either of those things really sorted out, you just like kind of screaming into the void, which is already a void in the first place, but that void is now even bigger. So if you're not like in the top 1%, I feel, and it's really grown this past year.
We don't make any money off of making albums and selling albums now. So, it's really important from a financial sense just to keep and functioning and going, and for us to be able to do things. So it's hit us relatively hard. But yeah, we're just gagging really to get back out and do it. I mean, there's not much. I mean, I couldn't, like a year and a half ago, I couldn't imagine like not being able to play. It's such a weird thing, like where it's sort of like just not allowed to happen. It took me a long time to get my head around it. And I still now, I mean, a lot of people say they're going to be like quite cautious and nervous being in that sort of situation now because they've been out of it for so long. Whereas I just sort of feel the opposite. I feel more.
That's good though.
And nervous by being stuck at home all the time, really. I'm quite excited. Hopefully it's made people appreciate it a bit more as well. Now that we can't, that we haven't had it. And I think, we could be looking at, especially if it comes back in the summer, like if these July dates go ahead and at festivals and stuff like that, I think we'll be looking at a sort of celebration of it, if anything. Especially with the Euros, if they go ahead as well properly. People can go in the pub and watch it and stuff like that. I think we're in for a really good summer of celebrating sort of football music and sort of, everyone being allowed
to values of life, innit?
Yeah, exactly. But I think, we took it for granted for a long time. I think people took, especially live music, I think people took for granted. Now hopefully they see how important it is and how much they've missed it, and hopefully make up for it.
Yeah, no, I hope so, because like it wasn't even like the pandemic really put grassroots venues on like underneath a weight anyway. The weight was already there. It
Yeah,
was just
exactly.
another 100 kiloton weight to throw on top of it for a laugh. It felt like
Yeah, yeah,
it was already a stress.
yeah,
Like that being said, though, like you said, if these things do go forward, your fourth album, Life Worth Living, it'll be a year old by that point if these gigs go forward. And like
yeah.
you said, there's no momentum to carry that forward. So I'm wondering, with this album being released, you're not really gigging that yet, not really pushing it forward. Has your relationship with it changed in any way? Can you even listen to it? Like, are you already bored of it even without playing it? Or are you just like waiting, preserving it?
Um, I don't know. I'm not bored of it. I think
Yeah,
I think it was a shame that that album come out when it did and
yeah,
didn't get the full sort of treatment it should have and the full campaign it should have. Because I think it's a really good album, and I think
it is.
it was really well received. And so yeah, I wouldn't say bored of it, but I mean naturally, as you said, it's like a year on, so I'm naturally moved on to different things or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not seeing it as when we go back on tour that we're touring that album. I'm not seeing it like that now. I'm sort of seeing it when we go on, if these dates in July go ahead, it's going to be more of a celebration of everything we've done up until this point, I think, rather than just concentrating and going, right, this is to back up an album that came out last year. I think it's more just sort of as I said, it's the first time we've had real time to sit back and sort of reflect on what we've done since we started. I mean, we've done what 4 albums in 5 years.
that's great. That's a work ethic, though, man. Like,
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like that until you stop
yeah,
about it. You know what I mean? It's like it just we're just constantly on to the next thing. And it's only when you sit back and you think, oh, actually, that's it's quite a lot of work or whatever. So if we do get back on the stage, which I'm really positive
yeah,
about in July, it will just be a celebration of that, really.
totally. Yeah, I think it's a good way of looking. I think that's just a healthy way of looking at it. Like, oh, we're gonna gig, and here are some new songs, but also this is just all part of it. Let's just have a laugh. Let's not worry about the promotion side of it yet. Let's just dance.
Yeah, because it's very easy to get hung up on that sort of side of it, and
Yeah,
try and especially recently, we've had some things where you get hung up on the whole thing of what we're going to be pushing, what we're going to be promoting,
right.
stuff like that, and you know, at the end of the day, we just want to enjoy the fact that we can go out there and play, and that even after all this time, people will still buy tickets to come and see us, and and just remind ourselves how much we enjoy it, rather than worrying about what we're supposed to be selling or what's meant to be new or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just I think it's taken this time off to appreciate everything that's happened. So it's rather a celebration of that rather than a celebration of what we're trying to sell to people. I think.
That record was that recorded 2019? I forget. I'm trying to think when it goes back to, because you were in a residential studio, weren't you? So you were living on site really, where the studio
Yeah.
was. You were isolated from people, and then you drop an album whilst everyone's already isolated. It's the complete opposite of what you were supposed to be going for, I feel.
Yeah, so it was actually recorded. So we recorded the majority of it, I think, a year before it come out. So
Yeah.
June, July 2019, I think. Um, and yeah, we were stuck in a residential studio, whatever, living in our own little world, and it was felt like a big deal when we sort of announced it coming out, and then like it must have been within weeks. We had all this stuff with the pandemic, so it was a strange situation. I mean, it was the strangest release day in the world. I mean, even by then, like things had started to open
People
up.
are opening up slowly, yeah.
Yeah, but it was still such a weird thing. It weren't like a come down. I wouldn't say that
Nah,
because it's
nah, nah,
still
nah.
excited for the album to be out. But it was such a different experience. I mean, normally the past sort of, I think the 3 albums before, we'd always do like a little local gig that night that the album come out.
Yeah.
And I think the first couple we've done like surprise gigs, and we do them in like local pubs or whatever to us, and sort of have a bit of celebration. And you normally get like the in-store thing
Yeah, yeah.
and everything that comes with it, really. But this time it was strange. And I think record shops were open, but people weren't. going out and buying records then, because it was still early days, and I don't know, the whole thing was just a weird experience. Not something I'd wish on anyone releasing an album, really. I mean,
No.
Nick Corbin released an album around the same time, and he just sort of said the same thing. You're working up to this, like, especially it was a big moment for us because we worked with a new producer, Simon Dine. We'd basically sorted out the band. Like, over the years of the Spitfires, you have a look, we've had about 15 different lineups, normally to do with keyboard players and stuff like that. So we'd finally sorted ourselves out and done something. We changed and the sound was far more modern for us, and we thought it was the best group of songs we've done. Really good record that we were going to release to the world, and we were signed to a label, Acid Jazz, as well, and everything just seemed to be going right. And then the whole world decides to go into a global pandemic, which is just typical, really. I mean, you couldn't make it up. It's sort of typical Spitfires luck, that.
You had a new engineer too, didn't you? Well, not a new engineer, but engineer didn't work with the band before.
Yeah, it was just the whole process was really new. Up until then, I'd been like very much, you know, I'd write the songs, I'd teach them to the band, and then we'd go to the studio and record them like that. Whereas this process was different. I was writing with Simon, the producer, and it had a different sort of, it had slightly different overall sound, but it was almost like what we'd learnt from the first 3 records all suddenly come together. And sort of we managed to take it a little bit further than we had done before. Even visually as well, with the artwork and stuff like that for the record. You know, it was pretty similar to stuff we'd done before, but we just managed to take it to a different league, really, and just work with different people. And you know, it was a really fun record to make, actually. Really, you know, really good. And yeah, I'm still really proud of it, but you know, it's just a shame it come out when it did.
But I mean, you also mentioned just then about like a time to truly reflect. I'm wondering, even during that studio time, when you're away from like the usual sort of surroundings, do you ever think about like a new element to the band? Because even like the opening track of the new album, like has this gorgeous little string section that leads right in, and I love that because I've got a real like kink for good opening tracks.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, did that reflect in time bring in like an idea for like further experimentation, like the sound of the more modern Spitfires? I'm wondering in the future.
Yeah, I suppose it did. I mean, I'm always sort of looking for things to do like that, and always looking for sort of something new to do and to push it. And I think even if you listen to our albums, there's always a progression.
Totally.
But I think that Life Worth Living really took it up an extra notch, and it also proved to us what we could do, and you know, the sort of how far we could go with it, and what we could do with in the future, which is a great way to, you know, a great way, a position to be in after a record like that. Because if you think like, oh, we've done it all now, you know what I mean? You know, this is the best we're going to do, or whatever, then, you know, there's not really anywhere else to go. But with this, it just opened up a whole load of possibilities of what we could do and what we could achieve. And that, you know, as much as anything, was inspiration to do more.
Would that be something else going forward then, with like again like a new lineup, a new idea? Even after these gigs, would you want to hit the studio, or do you want to like hold off for a little bit? Do you reckon, and just let it all just sink in and just like again just celebrate, not worry about that side too much?
Well, there's already stuff done, really. I mean, yeah, it was a mad year last year because, as I said, we sort of went into lockdown, and so that was in what, March, was it?
Yeah, this was at this time last year, literally.
Yeah, it was about this time last year, and Life Worth Living weren't due out till June.
Yeah.
Sort of in that period, I just sort of went on a mad writing spree, really, and got a lot done. And we've done a bit of recording in August and November last year. So we're already on that sort of track to something new and something different, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, for the time being, we're just gonna, see how things go and not get too ahead of ourselves. I think.
Fair enough, man.
With new stuff, I just want to see the world can function again properly, and then maybe think about doing something like that.
I think loads of people are anxiously trying to make the next big thing too soon. I just think you've got to get used to this now.
Well, we're gonna have the lockdown albums, ain't we? Really?
Oh yeah, lockdown films, pandemic, zombie films, all that stuff's gonna come out of nowhere.
About being isolated and quarantine and which I couldn't think of anything more boring really after we've all lived through it for God knows how long. So it's like, it was a conscious decision not to write about anything like that as well. I want to see the back of this. I don't want to then listen to other people moan about it really.
One last little quick question before I wrap this up. Is there any venues local to you or artists you want to shout out? Anyone that deserves a bit more attention right now?
Well, to be honest, there's not really any proper music venues in Watford. I mean,
there isn't, is there? We got what was it? We got the Horns, and then we got Flag. Well, not even the Flag. What is it now?
O'Neill's.
O'Neill's. That's kind of it, I think.
Yeah. So there's I mean, I think it's about time there was a proper music venue around here. Really. I mean, that's why I think that there seems to be a lack of interest or a scene around live music in Watford, and I think it boils down to that is because the majority of people, the only sort of live music option in Watford is that you've either got the Coliseum, which is like the major acts, or you've got like tribute bands or whatever, in a pub sort of situation. I think if you had the middle, it sort of put a bit of life into how people think about live music in Watford, because it is, it's like, as I was saying earlier, like normally we do a gig to celebrate an album coming out or whatever, and we're having to do it in sort of local pubs or whatever, which is great, and but the novelty wears off a bit after a while. It's like, if you had a proper 200 cap venue in Watford, where
I'd love that.
The sort of touring bands could use or whatever, because because we're only 20 minutes from Euston. There's a lot of there's a lot of potential for people to be coming in or whatever. But yeah, there's not really anything to shout about locally, I don't think. I mean, there's quite a cynical way of thinking about it, but I just think that loads more could be done. I mean, we've got every club you could ever.
You got all the nightclubs you want, but
all playing the same old rubbish opposite each other, so you can go from one to the other with hearing exactly the same thing. Which might be good for some people, but not for me.
Yeah, no, so I agree with that. Yeah,
but yeah, that's what I think should happen in Watford. They should build a live music venue, or turn one of these clubs into a live music venue.
No, I agree, man. I think the only real thing I could think of for live music in Watford is I got mates. I don't know if they do this anymore, but I know mates who put on like the 3-night stands, all the punk stuff, like the Watford Punk Collective. That's all I know, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard though. I mean, yeah, I mean, even now it's like he's playing in O'Neill's, ain't it? Really? Yeah. I mean, it's just it's just weird. But I mean, for a band like us who are very local, and quite a lot of our imagery is local and based in Watford or whatever.
Yeah.
We probably couldn't get arrested in Watford, whereas we can go to other places like and it's a really strange. It's a strange place. The more it goes on, the more it's feeling just like sort of Euston's car park.
That's what it is. I'm seeing it bit by bit. It's like, I don't know what they announced the other day, but they're redoing something. And I'm literally going, okay, we're just a crap extension of London now, aren't we? Like, not that I got much Watford pride anyway, but it's just like, come on, can we have some novelty?
I know, like, it's just become a place for people to park their car and
that's what it is.
Their head down on the sort of when they're commuting into London. It's not really anything else. I mean, even the high street and the town centre, or whatever, they're piling loads of money into it, so it looks like a sort of mini Westfield or whatever. But it, makes no sense to me. My always, when we go places on tour and you turn up and you go to somewhere and there's a few decent live music venues and, you know, alternative sort of club nights as well. We can go and listen to, you know, you don't have to listen to the same old music every, you know, in every club you're going down one strip or whatever. And I always find it's, you know, it's far more impressive and, you know, there seems to be far more going on and much more of a buzz with people, whatever. Whereas, yeah, you don't really get that in Watford. Get, you know, the same club 20 times within 30 seconds of each other, and that's about it.
It's just prison, and that's it. That's, half of Watford is just that massive prison building, and that's it.
Funny enough, we played in there once.
How'd you play digging?
I don't know. Right?
Was that when it was thingy? What was it called before? Not Astoria. What was it called?
Area.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, and it was like a Tuesday night. For some reason, they decided to put bands on, right? But they'd only put bands on like Tuesday, Wednesday nights or something like that. And we played in there, and it was like playing in a sort of airport. It felt like sort of sterile and because it's massive in there as well, and there weren't a lot of people in there. And that was like Watford's last bid to really go for it with live music. It was sort of laughable, really.
I don't know how. I mean, this is why I'm great for places like St Albans or Hemel, just so I can escape. Because this is the thing. Like, even though I live here, like I went to school and I gig in St Albans. So like St Albans is like Disneyland Paris to me. It feels like I'm going on a holiday on a sunny day when I go there. It's just like a whole different world.
Yeah. St Albans is like Disneyland Paris.
It practically is to me. Like compare it to here. It's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Watford's saving grace for me has always been that I could jump on the train into London quickly. And,
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's been quite important for me, especially as a musician or whatever, because you know, London's one of those things that people gravitate towards to play when you're starting up. You've got to play in London. You
it's
know
a culture. It's a whole culture hub. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So to be that close, I think has done us favours, and our local gigs now are probably more London gigs than they are sort of Watford gigs or whatever. So that's done us a favour, I suppose. You know, I'm always jealous of these, but you see these bands from like up north, they come from like Manchester or Liverpool or whatever, and they can get a real scene going because they've got plenty of decent little venues, and they can get their mates out and sort of cause a bit of a buzz. And it's, you know, I'm sort of jealous of that because you can't do that in Watford. You can't do it. You can't start anything like that. You know, I've always one of my things is, you know, probably out of rejecting the nightlife in Watford currently, I've always wanted to do a sort of alternative club night or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, how seriously I'll take it. I'll probably get fed up after a week or month or so. I like the pubs around here, but I'm a sucker for it.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Right, mate. Where can we find you on social media and all that stuff? I want to tag you down below.
So Facebook is just the Spitfires. Instagram is the Spitfire, and Twitter is the Spitfires UK.
Awesome stuff. Anything else you want to throw out there other than listen to the album, obviously, and then check out the online?
Listen to all our albums, buy all our albums, and help us survive the winter. Really.
Yeah, that's a pretty truthful note to end it on altogether, I think. Billy, thank you very much for your time, mate.
Oh, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man. Cheers.